Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to yet another edition of MedAI Webhour, hosted by DoctorsAI and MedSynapse. So we started MedAI Webhour back in January 2025, right after a very successful DoctorsAI Global Summit, which was virtual. And now here we are standing at the brink of DoctorsAI Global Summit 2025, and it's going to be offline in Bengaluru on 15th and 16th of November. So the theme of this new DoctorsAI Global Summit is real, responsible, and revolutionary. And that's what we are here to talk about right at the theme of understanding responsible use of AI in clinical practice. So what we are doing here is we are having a panel discussion, and I'll be the moderator, Dr. Aishwarya, and we have a co-moderator, Surya. Surya, you would like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Surya Shanbhog, a final year medical student at ICAIM's Bathinda and a proud student member of DoctorsAI. My enthusiasm for AI has brought me from the audience seat to the moderator today, and it's an incredible honor and pleasure to learn from our distinguished guests today here.
And for the panelists, we have with us Dr. Amit Kumar Dey sir, Dr. S.V. Kulkarni sir, and Dr. Deepak Chiradoni sir. So we start with introducing our panelists. So our first panelist is Dr. Amit Kumar Dey sir. He's from Kolkata, India. He's a consultant physician in diabetology, obesity, and metabolic disorders. He has an experience of over 12 years into clinical practice with diabetology. He's a winner of a list of awards. He has done fellowships in Royal Society of Public Health, Diabetes India. He's a member of RSSDI. He's the advisory council member of ACP India chapter. He's joint secretary of the Diabetes Research Welfare Association, Kolkata. And of course, he's associated in research as principal investigator and co-investigator in various real-world observational studies. And of course, it goes without saying, he is the founding chair of DoctorsAI, the whole community which has more than 2,000 healthcare practitioners in AI. I welcome you, sir. Our another panelist is Dr. S.V. Kulkarni, sir. Surya, over to you.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce our distinguished panelists, Professor Dr. S.V. Kulkarni. Dr. Kulkarni is a senior physician and academician with over 4 decades of experience in internal medicine, diabetes, geriatrics, global health, thyroid diseases. He currently serves as the professor and head of medicine at MGM University of Healthcare in Navi Mumbai, and he has earned national recognition for his pioneering work in digital medicine and serves as the editor-in-chief of Monograph on Digital Technology in Clinical Medicine. He is the founder vice chair of Diabetes Technology Work Group of Diabetes India and the founder, patron, and dean of the Indian College of Artificial Intelligence. A mentor, innovator, and advocate for integrating IT and AI into clinical practice, Dr. Kulkarni is often regarded as the father of clinical digital technology and AI in India. We are incredibly honored to have him with us today to share his insights at the intersection of medicine, technology, and human care.
And today also marks his 70th birthday. A very happy birthday, sir. It's very apt that we are doing a panel discussion with you on this day.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah.
And our next speaker is Dr. Deepak Chiradoni, sir. He's a senior consultant at Basaveshwar Hospital. He's a secretary of Karnataka State Infectious Disease Chapter, chief editor CPU. He's an AI scientist and advisor of Indian College of Artificial Intelligence in Medicine. We welcome you, sir. Thank you for being one of our panelists.
Thank you, Aishwarya.
So, since we all know that AI is transforming healthcare faster than any of us could have ever imagined, from diagnostic to decision support, to image analysis, to patient triage, to drug discovery, it's everywhere. So to help us navigate through the crucial questions that we deal with every day when it comes to AI and medicine, we have with us our esteemed panelists, and we will start with the discussion. First question is Dr. Surya is going to ask. So over to you.
My first question is to Dr. Dey. So as someone who's deeply involved in both medicine and technology, how do you define responsible AI and how do you define responsible use of AI in the context of clinical practice?
Thanks, Surya, for the question. First of all, welcome everybody to the web hour. Always a pleasure to be back, and it's always a amazing feeling to share our insights with the community. And I think as a community over the last 2 years, we have grown significantly, as Aishwarya has mentioned. And you will see Surya, you will see Aishwarya. They're all the pillars of our community that has been leading from the front. And from a small drop, we are almost like an ocean. Of course, we have to build up this ocean bigger, but it's all your contribution that brings up here. So yes, now the whole world is talking about responsible artificial intelligence, and not many people are really able to make out the meaning of responsible artificial intelligence. What exactly do we want to mean when we say that you have to use artificial intelligence in a responsible way? In my recent interactions with some of the national leaders, some of the global leaders, I'm trying to understand that at every stakeholder level, there is a different explanation and a definition of the responsible application of artificial intelligence in any field, in any industry. And we are talking about the healthcare industry. So, first, in healthcare, the first and the foremost important rule is do no harm. And I think that's we have all evolved with that oath as doctors, as clinicians, as a medical student. Surya is there. He'll be taking the oath in about a year's time. The first rule is you try to do good in the most patient-centric way, but you do not do any harm. So when we say that we want to use a technology to do good to a patient, we must ensure that it doesn't do any harm. That's one of the crux in the definition of responsible artificial intelligence. Do no harm. Understand the data, understand the algorithm, but at the end of the day, do no harm. It goes a bit longer, it goes a bit deeper into it. There's going to be a lot of sections under which we will be defining responsible application of artificial intelligence. But if I have to give you a skeleton structure overview, it goes something like this. Number one, it has to be patient friendly and patient centric. That's one of the key pillars of being responsible. It has to, the end of the day, do good to the patient. It has to be effective for the patient in the way the patient is going to find it in terms of clinical improvement. The second most important aspect of being responsible application is it has to have explainability, it has to have transparency at every level, at the level of the builder, at the level of the developer, at the level of the application or testing or training or the real world evidence, and then also at the level of the end user when it is getting applied. There has to be transparency, explainability happening at every level. The third, and I believe which is also one of the most significant pillar, is that it has to fit in the most ambient way into the ecosystem of healthcare. Now, we are talking about ambient artificial intelligence because people have now realized that AI cannot be an alien or and cannot be an like an excipient kind of a technology just coming in and people will adopt it. It has to fit in an ambient way into the workflow of a doctor, which means a doctor like Deepak, who is practicing in the suburban areas of Karnataka, is very tech savvy, but you will only find one Dr. Deepak amongst 100 doctors. So there are 99 other doctors who are not tech savvy, who are not tech friendly, who shy away from, forget about AI, who shy away from using digital health itself. So the responsible AI algorithm or the ecosystem has to fit in ambiently into his or her practice without disturbing his flow of thoughts, his way of practice, his years, the way he has practiced, and he has been trained to practice and look at clinical medicine. So these are the first three pillars, I would say. It has to be patient-centric, it has to fit in ambiently, it has to have explainability, transparency at every level. And then we can break these pillars down into multiple levels and we can have that discussion going forward. But this is a baseline where responsible AI means, and it's important that AI comes in healthcare in a responsible way. It cannot come in any irresponsible way. Then healthcare will go in a toss. The healthcare that we want to give it to our patient in the most patient-centric and ethical way, it'll go out in a toss. So it has to come in the most responsible way. So I hope that answers the first introductory part of your question, Surya.
That answers very well. It was so clear and crisp. I can see the vision is absolutely clear in your head. Dr. Aishwarya, would you like to take the second question?
Yes. So, like you mentioned, many clinicians still see AI as a black box. So, my next and as you rightly mentioned, that Dr. Deepak is bridging that gap. So, sir, my question to you is, what steps can bridge this gap between the trust and understanding of many clinicians with AI? Like, we are defying these laws, we at DoctorsAI defying these laws, but will there be resistance from the medical community? If there is, why so, and how can we bridge the gap?
So thank you, everyone. Very good evening to all the audience, and very happy and happy birthday to Dr. Professor S.V. Kulkarni, the Doyen of and the founder and principal of our Indian College of Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare and Medicine. So the main, how to bridge the gap between these, implementing the AI so as to we use it as a reliable AI in our healthcare sector. So that is by how we have to get adopted to involve AI in our day-to-day practice, in our professional as well as personal level. In my experience, I think what I will do is we have to bound to the ethics of the AI, as Dr. Amit today has mentioned. The first and foremost thing is what is the privacy concern and the security concern of the data what you get. You should have a proper informed consent whenever you are AI in your professional practice. Say, for example, you are using a CDSS. What is CDSS? Clinical Disease Supporting System. Say, for example, any software of integrated with AI, you should take a consent, proper consent, informed consent from the patient that I'm using AI as my second assistant. Most of the softwares nowadays are coming with AI assisted to produce a very good structured data. That is very important. Second thing, when it comes to adopting the AI in your practice, say for example, you are doing some data analysis. After you having a very good health record, you are doing some data analytics. So you should not put it all your data into a open source LLMs or generative AIs. See what you are going to do with the mistake by revealing the identity of the patient, contact number of the patient, or if you are putting some images of the patient without blurring the eyes or the face. So you are going to harm the privacy of the patient. All those things we have to consider whenever you are dealing with some scientific study of your own data in public forms or open forms. So for that, you have to adopt something like you have to undergo some courses in your practice. If you have your own EHR or your own data, or you get data sets from the open source like Hugging Face or Kaggle or Google data set form, you can run your own LLM in your own laptop or in the Windows computer or Mac computer. So you should know all those things, how you should get adopted. That's very important. Then only you can bridge it. See, anything is there, you should get a ethical approval. If you are doing a study, say for example, I'm doing an infant cry analysis study, which is about to start. We are just waiting the approval from ICAIM along with Kulkarni. This is one of the pipeline project from Indian College of Artificial Medicine in Healthcare. So if we start this project, already 100 pediatricians and neonatologists are involved. We have to explain them each and everything about how we are developing the model, how we have to send the data. And it should not harm the patient whenever you're using the AI tool. For example, for this infant cry analysis, what I'm using a voice recorder, professional voice recorder, all most of the journalists use. You should not keep this voice recorder very near to the baby. We are dealing with children from 0 to 2 years. if you put this voice record very near, it may harm the signals, the radioactivity signals or infrared signals, whatever the technology is imbibing and getting the voice of the children. So it is going to harm the ear of the child, hearing capacity of the. So all those simple examples gives whenever you are doing with AI as a researcher, as a learner, you should know what are all the pros and cons of that, and we should follow all these 4 pillars of ethics in AI. Then only it becomes reliable. Ultimately, if you are deployed it, if you are used it for your own real life purposes, it should be very useful. The output should be very useful. It should not be discarded or a waste, or it should be as for the simple sake of publishing or producing. It should not be done. It is to be very important in economic low LMIC countries like India. For example, if I make this project, infant cry analysis project, is get successful, who knows? Government will going to take this and give it these softwares to Anganwadi workers. They can download it, and with the password they can assess the infant cry, whether it is a very small hunger cry or a small stomach pain, colic cry, or due to otitis media or a pneumonia. Immediately they have referred to the baby or child to the hospital nearby. It will definitely reduce the infant mortality. That is very important. You must have heard about the term called SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. And any LMIC country's economy is assessed not only by the not gross capita income, it is from the neonatal mortality. How many under by birthday, how many children are going to die by 5 years, how many children are. It's one of the very important index. So by reducing this infantile mortality by using tools like this, I think it is not going to harm the baby or not going to do a lot of things to the disrupt the healthcare. It is going to augment all your ashas and Anganwadi workers grassroots to identify it is a pathological cry. You have to refer the baby as early to the nearby pediatrician. That is how some or the other way it is going to reduce the mortality of the child. That is how indirectly it affects the economy. See, this is some of the real life examples I wanted to tell you to reduce the bridge between how this reliable AI should not become a unreliable. You must have recently heard in your media or in the Akbar, one of the person from South India gone through the chat GPT and he has gone to attempt a suicide and he got suicided. See, we should know when we should relay this generative AI. The basic concept of general AI, all medical people should know how it has been produced. For that, you should undergo a certified course. What is the basics? How LLM will predict your words. It doesn't have a mind like humans. That is why always, whenever I go to a talk, always tells machine minds, but human is hands. So wherever the AI has to be used, the human in loop should be there, especially if you come into the healthcare sector. That has to be there. That's a very important aspect. Human in the loop cannot be there whenever you are introducing AI in a human. That's the important part. I think that is going to answer what the question Dr. Aishwarya asked. Thank you.
Yes,
I can see that
definitely,
there is-
definitely.
I can see that there is a lot of nuance attached to this answer that you gave us. The pros and cons are like heavily influenced by the demographics and the socioeconomic state of that particular population that we're treating. So I think this question alone would require an entire discussion by itself. But I want to give my next question to Dr. Kulkarni. So, you have been using AI in your life, right? So how are you using it? Have there been any moments where AI has like surprised you? And if you are able to make certain predictions about AI in the future, can you make some?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Aishwarya, Surya. And of course, Amit and Deepak had done my job very easy. I'm going to talk you in a alphabetical manner. So the first thing for me, whenever I go, any meeting I go, even any group, any doctors, people ask me if I accept AI tool, is it going to be another black box? So for that, I tell them that it is just not a simple AI, it is an explainable AI. And this explainable AI not only tells you the steps, but the decisions and recommendations, and they can be traced back, whatever things you do. I give a very simple example like what Deepak told about his neonatal cry analysis. I have got a diabetic patient's analysis of say around 250 points, right from his height, weight, BMI, neck, and other things to retinopathy to urine microalbumin and everything. So I am going to put a question that using this data of 250 points, can you predict me that what complication this person is going to have and by what timeline? For that, I need the another B, that is big data. So where we lack in India, we lack only for data, and that too clear data. Absolutely, if not possible for any other software, you can be done in a simple Excel. So when we are asking somebody to use his data for predicting complications and other things, we have to have a build-up of trust and explainability. Now, with that, the second point comes with how we can train. So what DoctorSAI is doing is a phenomenal job. Amit, we are really, right now, we are number one as far as the training programs are concerned. Because I just got a mail from John Hopkins today. I don't know how they tracked me, but they have given me a whole thing, and the dollar mark is definitely quite big. So that explanatory component, after that is training and upskilling. For a physician who is in the age of 40, 50, 60, for him, he has to first unlearn the basic practices. He has to relearn and he has to upskill himself. Definitely, the C component is clinical integration and collaboration. Involve as many clinicians as possible which are renowned. The ethical backgrounds and ethical frameworks, everybody said that primum non nocere and explainability. But we should initiate the practical movement of using data and AI within our own communities. If I am a physician, if Deepak is a pediatrician, if Surya and Aishwarya are medical students, go horizontally. Go horizontally, go vertically also. And we should be in a position to write to the policy makers. Why you should be afraid of? Why you should be afraid of writing to policy makers? And that is our sustained investment and policy support. You can always tell that I had suggested you this particular solution, but which you have not anticipated or taken into that. For example, a very simple thing that if you want to measure a blood pressure of any patient, whether it is a mercury BP apparatus which is useful or a digital apparatus, the whole world is going towards the digital medical apparatus, which gives the systolic, diastolic, and pulse. Your mercury BP apparatus doesn't give it. So if the authorities are still insisting us to use some old methods, then we as a group and we as a voice has to come up and tell them. And lastly, I will just end with one very simple phrase that the negative of acceptance and trust is skepticism. So we have to take out the component of skepticism within our friends group, our own associations, and all the principles which have been discussed by the previous two speakers. If we can consolidate together and we tell them that we are following this and a day is going to come, then when all your repeated tasks are going to be easy. That is most important. If your repetitive tasks are reduced, if your earning increases, if your family time increases, you are at a very positive benefit. So I always look towards AI tool as one of the magic wands of the next few years. And we have seen the development. Last 1,000 days have been really phenomenal for generative AI. And when explainable AI is going to come, we are going to be really on the top of the management sector. Thank you very much.
Very, very, very well said, sir. And also, you're a very important man in the field of medicine and AI. So none of us were surprised when John Hopkins reached out to you. So my next question is to Dr. Amit, sir.
Aishwarya, before you go to the jump into the next question, Dr. Kulkarni is actually has been advocating digital health from the time when even internet was not available widely to people. That's how big and longitudinally long his vision has been, and we are very happy and fortunate to have him, and especially iconically on his 70th birthday, we are talking of, celebrating his birthday with the progress of digital health and artificial intelligence. And I think it's a very proud moment and an honorable moment for the Doctors AI community and the Indian College of Artificial Intelligence in Medicine. Just before you guys go forward into the next segment of the question, I will just add two more important points, which is very important when you define responsible AI. One is having a implementation toolkit behind every AI tool. See, now we are going to go into the era of agentic AI. Agents are going to be deployed, and I think most of us have already started using agents in our here and there stuffs, day-to-day work. And you will see that coming in the CDSs, you will see that coming in many of the repetitive tasks that Dr. Kulkarni was mentioning. And there is always going to be a lot of automation happening, whether we want it like it or not. So any toolkit which is deploying artificial intelligence in the field of healthcare will have to have that explainable implementation, somewhere kind of a labeling behind it. And this is something that, as a diabetologist, we have proposed this on a global level through the IDF to certain platforms, the WHO, etc. And we'll ensure that these kind of toolkits are coming out with certain kind of labeling, telling about the adverse effects, so telling about if the model goes wrong, what can be the way of iterative refining it? What can be the way of continuously refining the models? So these kind of explainabilities must be there in some of the AI tools that is going to come in. So we are very close to going into that space where you will see AI in everything that we do, almost everything that we will do. So then in the field of healthcare, you will require, those things to come in. So that's just one more point I wanted to add. Yes, Aishwarya.
Yeah. So my next question is that with every technology, like with every technological revolution, there has always been loss in jobs or like switch in the roles. So how do you see the shift happening in the healthcare industry?
I believe that question is for me, Aishwarya.
Yes, the question is for you, sir.
Okay, so I think this is a question that has been asked to me, in different phases from the time AI came into the mindset of people. Are we going to be losing our jobs? Are we going to be replaced? So, of course, now we understand, and everybody has a clear-cut understanding that nobody's getting replaced here. But your roles are definitely going to change, and it's going to change in a very big way. So, the question is not about getting replaced. The question is about whether you are you have the aptitude of getting reskilled. So everybody in today's era, whether you're a healthcare provider or not, whether you are a frontline clinician or allied healthcare professional, a nurse, a physiotherapist, you will find application of digitalization and digital health and AI coming into every sphere of your practice. So the reskilling, how you are reskilling yourself is going to be the key, how you're going to adapt to this, influx of technology. Look yourselves back about 15, 20 years back, or maybe I would say 20, 25 years back. We never imagined that we would have connectivity so vast and wide when people can connect over online calls. This is the most powerful thing that we have in our hand, the mobile phone. And this mobile phone is something that keeps people connected. It's one of the most powerful tools that can connect a patient with a doctor, give remote care. So these things are going to come in a very broader way than we can even imagine in the field of healthcare. So we all have to be reskilled. And this reskilling is a funny thing because it's going to happen from the level of a medical student like Surya to your level as a postgraduate trainee, to our level as a advanced career physician, to the level of a senior clinician like Dr. Kulkarni. So everybody is going to be learning and getting themselves reskilled. Now the perk is for people who are going to adapt to this and keep themselves abreast with this and get themselves updated and reskilled, they're going to survive the race. But people who just shun away the technology and say that I'm not made for technology, I'm going to fall short, or they have an inertia to it, they have a big chance of getting replaced. That is it. The technology is not going to replace them, but people who are reskilling themselves faster will be replacing people who are reskilling themselves slower. That's definitely what's going to happen.
Yes, definitely. Next question, Surya.
Oh, And well,
Surya,
Dr. Amit, that was pretty thoughtful. uh, Dr. Kulkarni, I have actually a two-part question for you.
Yeah.
One as a follow-up question to what you previously said.
Yes.
So the follow-up question was, as you mentioned earlier, that there is a need for explainable AI. But there have been some incredible deep learning models coming up. For example, a model that scans your face and tongue and tells what's the sugar levels is with like high accuracy. So in such a scenario, why is explainability important in the first place if the end result is accurate and has high confidence?
But one of the biggest block from the clinician side, that whenever you are using any algorithm, the person wants to know in what way the decisions are taken, in what way the recommendations are made, and very important is whether the clinician has understood that and whether he can trace it back. That is the point where explainable AI scores over everybody else. Again, telling you that the decisions, the recommendations, they are properly understood and they can be traced back. And in that, you are engaging the clinician there, engaging the clinician actively. Like the AI model is learning, the clinician is also learning. So I don't have full answer to your question. No doubt there are always some lacunae in that, and the science changing is so fast. You might be aware of a concept called as a medical literature doubling time. Are you aware how much was it there in 1950 when the initial edition of Harrison come? It was 50 years. Now it may be few hours or few days. So that is the amount of data which we are going to. There is an explosion of data in different kind of. Why Watson failed? Same because of this. Watson had mainly on the oncology and other things, but for other clinical parameters it will not fit. So I still feel that there is not a single either a explainable AI model or the existing AI model which can be very much useful for the medical professionals unless we support them, we give them more input and we criticize them. See, always remember the C's. Who has created it? What are the contributions? What is the center from which it has come? How many times it has been criticized? How many times it has been corrected? And how many are the co-adopters of the same thing? This is my very simple idea, whether it is a software or whether it is an AI tool. You also know the way in which Netflix required so many times, so many days to get million customers, and ChatGPT got in few hours. So also the rate of number of people who go on increasing using adopting the model, that also decides. So that is where people like Amit and Deepak and you all are important to make the students and make the practitioners aware to have the adoption capability of the AI tools. And again, I confess that there is nothing which can explain everything right to the top right at this moment. It is always an evolving science. And we are just a minuscules. We are absolutely minuscules. It tells you that you don't know so many things. That is what the best part of it. Okay, I think I have answered your out of
Yes,
syllabus
I mean,
question.
you
Yeah.
have hit a hard truth, sir.
Yeah.
It is actually very important that the doctor knows the process so that he can actually stand by it and then, recommend decisions based on the output the AI model gives.
See, what happens to add to that, sorry. So regarding the reliability on the model, what we are playing around. So the doctor has to be well versed with the various AI models. See, most of them we are addicted. If I am addicted to ChatGPT, somebody is addicted to Perplexity, somebody is addicted to Quen, somebody to the DeepSeek China models. So we should know what is the output. So that is how we should know the knowledge of generative AI. Come to the practical aspect, my daily ritual, just like what we do, meditation, yoga, all those stuff, my ritual in doing AI is go for a API. I open my laptop or the desktop, open the API, generate, it is very easily available. Whatever the thinking in your dream or in your yesterday night, you are come across your difficult cases or any images and all, no, you just upload it, put a good prompt, choose your models. In API, you can choose your models. Reasoning model you can choose a Pro models. So you can choose up to 5 to 6 models without any credits. I'm telling you, you need not have to spend your money or pocket. It will give you nice output of whatever you are told, and whichever you go through it and like it, it will give you more credit points. You can buy some credits. So without spending money from your pocket, you will get the output. If you give a lot of reinforcement learning to that API, it is going to give almost or more than 800 to 900 generative AI models are there in your API. It is one of the very important. Similarly, LM Arena is there. So my daily ritual is practice. Put your prompts in various AI without using much credit. Take out the output. Then you play around specifically, which is very reliable. Your output is very good. That is you are the one who you are going to choose that model. That is what additional thing I am going to tell this. Thank you.
That's exactly what was going to be our next question that we had planned. That is it better to have many proprietary niche models or few well-audited open models? Like how to choose? But I think
It's a very yes. Thank you, Aishwarya. This is a very critical strategic question you asked for a doctor. See, now still we are in the infantile phase of AI. We have not yet come across. Just hardly 2021 ChatGPT came. Though many terms were used in various terms, small models, large language models, NLP, machine learning was there. The real artificial intelligence, the utility came once the ChatGPT was released in 2021, where it has a very minimal parameters, only million parameters were there. Now, if you go to API, you have 4 billions, 5 billions parameters are there in terms of billion. If you put a stack of paper 1 hour, you are going to cross, I think, Pluto or Uranus in the space. That much of this thing, knowledge has been billions of parameters is there. So how to choose a coral from a sea? You have to dig deep into the sea and get out the coral. It's very difficult thing. So these things, see, when you have very large data sets, parameter are there, how to choose? That's a very difficult. So as a doctor, you have to have a very good knowledge of how this model has been trained, how the output is, depending on your domain, you have to be there. I'm a pediatrician. My domain is more of a tabular column. I deal with a tabular column and very less with the image. For example, a pathologist or a dermatologist, he go for a very big domain where he needs a very large language module with high GPUs and all. So it varies a lot. So if it comes to this proprietary niche models, it deals with a very specific and closed resources. So these models are very well developed by a private companies or a research group for a highly specific task. For example, detecting a very specific tumor in a MRI, like that. Whereas if you come to a very big general purpose or broadly shared model, widely audited open models like ChatGPT or other LLMs, these models are typically developed in transparent methodologies, often with academia and consortiums with various, they have been associated with various institutes like John Hopkins or MIT or various universities of US and abroad. So that is how these models we have to choose. We have to take it into account which specialization, what is the access control, what is the advantages and disadvantages, how the data has been trained, tested and validated. If you do some research analysis, there is terms called how the model has been trained, how it has been tested, how it has been validated. Initially, if we have 100 cases of pneumonia, to make it I'm very simplifying into algorithm. If you have 100 cases of pneumonia, you cannot take all 100 cases to train. You have to take 70% of pneumonia, another 20% negative cases, another 10% obliterated. See, this is called splitting of the data. If you train the model like this, there won't be any term difference called class difference. For example, I will tell you, if I take all 100 cases pneumonia, I will put the model. If I give a normal X-ray, it is going to tell me it is as a pneumonia. That means it is hallucinating. That is why you have to train a model in such a way, you have to give 70% positive cases. That is called classification of the cases in data science. And 20% cases should be a negative. Another 10% should be in between. So once you test the model with various algorithms, you have some testing data models. For example, I use for image analysis MonAI from Google platform. So many are there. If you are a very good data analyzer, many data classifiers like in Hugging Face, you have various spaces like various models. You have a various data sets to download, and you have place like spaces wherein thousands of AI models are there. If you can just log into your Hugging Face, it's a very open source platform. You can know. So once these models have been tested now, then it has to be undergo. I mean, if once it has been trained, it has to be validated. After validation only, then you have to give for testing. This is how sequence of the testing the model will become. Once all these things has been over with your own data set, you have to take data sets from other generalized data, open data sets available like in CCIM training, we have taken data sets from Kaggle. You must have known. Similarly, you have Hugging Face where you can download lot of data sets. Similarly, Google dataset base is there. So you have to test with the data sets. Then only you have to confirm with the output. You have to do a lot of matrices calculation. You must have, whenever you are doing thesis in your MD or this thing, you must be knowing false positives, false negatives, true positives, true negatives. So you do all this permutation combination, then only it has to be deployed. Model has to be deployed. So this is the steps of this thing. So any specific task, go for a very short niche proprietary model. Whenever you are broadening this, you have to go for LLM. You can tell me, give me some real life example. See, I've done a lot of capstone projects. So what I will do, morning when I get up, I will put all my thoughts into the AI. It's a generalized model. It will take all the models. It is like integrated, just like PY I was using. I stopped using PY now because I have to bear some cost for that. That is also very important. Being in a rural area, spending more money is very difficult. So I go to API, take all those outputs of various models. I analyze it, I edit it. Human in loop is very important. Then I will give it to the agents. So now, as Dr. Amit has very well told about, now is the agentic era. Especially if you use GenSpark, Skywork, Monos, these are all agentic AI. So if you give that, because these people will take a lot of credit, you can use it for one very minimal credit. So what I will do, I will take the output from this generalized model, I will scrutinize it, and I will give a specific prompt to the super agents. With less credit, I can give a very good output. I think in DoctorSAI group, I made one capstone project that tomorrow I'm going to present for my certification course from Grey Brain. So that model, that is how you should planly use it. These LLMs, the broad-based LLMs versus short-based LLMs. That is how. If you are if you want to come up and scale up, use Hugging Face platform, which is very free. Download the medical data sets. You can have spaces in that section in the Hugging Face in the top tab. You can take whatever model you take. You can do research on that. You can classify. You can do validation. You can do output also. I've done a lot of things. I will always play around with this. That is how you can become a AI research and scientist, and you can scale up. I think there are a lot of things to tell about this various difference between that. So if you want, I will share the data. That is how you should use as a doctor, if you are a tech savvy, these AI models. I think that has given enough, I think, answer. Thank you.
Yes, you did. There was a lot of information, a lot of models that I, had to note down because I'm interested to try them all out. But one key point that I picked up from your explanation was classification. That seemed to be a recurring theme, and it kind of reminds me of how we use positive and negative controls when we do biological science research. And that kind of connects to my next question to Dr. Amit. So, Dr. Amit, we have one major problem when we have to do research with, developing these models. And that is, can we do this development in sort of with the same parallel rigor of clinical drug trials? What I mean to say is, when models continuously evolve with more and more data, how should the post-market surveillance be structured for AI? How many audits should be done? Who is going to do the audits? And what are the matrices that should be taken into consideration?
So first of all, before you go into kind of a post deployment evaluation of a model, what is the most important thing that is needed in healthcare is a medical language model. I think this is one of the biggest need. And if you look at the way most of these tech giants are migrating, is they're making their language models more and more friendly or more and more accurate towards health bench. So you have the OpenAI health bench, you have the Google is coming up with the MedGemma and the models, and you will also see some of the other players in the market who are coming up with medium language models. All are going to come up with more and more health accurate models, and the reason is there is a higher use case of language models amongst medical professionals. I think recently there was a paper article in Economic Times of India that says around 40% of doctors in the country are actually using artificial intelligence, maybe knowingly, unknowingly, or maybe intentionally or even unintentionally, right? So when you say that, the question comes is, are they using it responsibly? Are they really using it in the right way it should be used with the patient protection and everything and the data privacy and everything? Well, we are not. Even I'm not. Even Dr. Deepak is not. Even Dr. Kulkarni is not. So that is one way of looking at, how responsibly you can use a language model. So to top that, we are still using a general purpose language model. So now the first need of the hour is we should have a medical language model, sooner the better. Local regional, if possible, build on regional data. As an Indian, we always want an Indian make, language model, which I'm pretty sure that by 2026 we'll have something, because the Indian AI project, the government of India is pro tech, pro AI, which is a big thing for us. And you have Ayushman Digital Bharat Mission coming in. So you have a pro push towards, digitalization, towards AI adoption. So sooner or later, we're going to have an Indian made language model coming in. We need an Indian made medical language model so that it's cheap, it's readily available to the doctors in the Indian medical community at large, and it speaks the Indian language. It can be built on all the regional languages of our country, and it can, most importantly, be specific to the kind of use cases that we are used to seeing in our day-to-day clinical practice. When you have something like this, well, you would then want to have this evaluated. And this is where I say that there should be a structured way in which a model after deployment should have an implementation toolkit. There should be an adverse effect or adverse report mechanism. So if something is going wrong because of a fault of a model, who is to be blamed for? Well, at the moment, the question is gray. Nobody knows who is to be blamed for. Is it the developer? Is it the user, the end user? Who is the person, right? So we still don't have that answer. So there has to be an adverse reporting mechanism at every level, at the local level, at the regional level, and maybe at the national policymakers level or at the government level. So these are the things which needs to be defined, which needs to be set in, which is a part of responsible artificial intelligence. And for any model, whether it's a simple machine learning, conventional machine learning algorithm, or a deep learning algorithm, or whether it's our generative AI and the fascinating agentic AI as we now know it, thinking models as we are now calling it, the reasoning models, the chain of thought reasoning models, for any of these models to be successfully evolving, when you see these AI models, they evolve with intelligence, right? They go up the rank. To be successfully evolving, there has to be multiple layers of continuous iterative refinement, technically I'm talking about, happening in the back end. This is the process of, post-marketing surveillance or a post-marketing kind of thing which you talk about in the clinical drug trials. So as a part of responsible AI deployment, these are the things which has to be defined. Now, when you say what metrics to be used, one, technical metrics. So the metrics that you normally use to evaluate a language model, technically, those models are those metrics are going to be there. But beyond that, in medicine, in the field of healthcare, there has to be a clinical evaluation happening. Now, this is something which is absolutely unknown to the technology world. People do not know how you can clinically evaluate a technological solution. We are used to clinically evaluate drugs. We are used to clinically evaluate the outcome of a treatment that we are giving. We still not have devised the methodology of clinically evaluating the outcome of a AI algorithm or the outcome of an AI solution which is being used to make a decision making in the life and death of a patient. So that clinical evaluation has to come, and this is where exactly the human in the loop, the clinician in the loop is going to come in. Much before that, we all have to get literate about it. We need to understand the good and bad about it, the know-how about it, so that we are able to evaluate it. But this clinical evaluation in a segmented way with an iterative refinement of technical evaluations happening at the back end is what is going to make these models more and more developed and more safer, more and more patient-centric. So if I can give you a thought process, what you asked is something which we may be able to achieve in 10, 15 years, in longer time. But going forward in the next 2 and 3 years, we definitely need a medical language model, which should, now again, I believe this may be a fast stretch thought, which should have compliance to data protection laws. At the moment, the models which we are using, they are not compliant to data protection laws. They're not compliant to GDPR. They're not compliant to the DPDP Act, which is prevalent in the laws of the land of our country. So they have to be prevalent. They have to be compliant to the data protection laws, such that the patient's privacy is maintained, the PHI, the patient health information is protected when the models are deployed. So that is the need of the hour. And then we come to the question of, post deployment evaluation and things like that. But we are at a start. Why I say we are at a start is because I'm seeing companies in Southeast Asia, I'm seeing companies in the European Union, they are gradually adding agents in the back end of their solutions, tech solutions, whether it's a continuous glucose monitor in our diabetes care or some kind of a cancer screening tool. They're adding some agents in the back end. Now, when these agents get added, more and more use cases get created, you will be finding a need of a medical language model coming in. And I'm sure that somewhere or the other, we will be having medical language model coming in. Google has gone up the ranks. They're right now in the higher ranks of the race. They're developing MedGemma, which looks pretty neat, pretty decent. I had the opportunity of playing with some of their basic tools, but I can see some of the companies really coming up with a health bench standard medical language model, and we are all going to be in the forefront evaluating it. The question how we evaluate it in terms of clinical outcomes will lie to us, and that will lie solely on our AI literacy.
Thanks so much, sir. So well articulated. Like that answered so many of my questions that I was having. There is no AI talk without ethics talk. Whenever there is AI, there is some ethical dilemma. We have to take into consideration the human dimensions. So my next question is to Dr. Kulkarni, sir. Sir, should AI ever have authority to overrule a clinician's judgment, even in the high confidence scenarios? Like Dr. Amit sir always say about how he asks his patients that they to include, like he asks his patients if he can, they can like together look up chat GPT and like see what else chat GPT will tell you. So like, do you think in high confidence scenarios we should let AI overrule the judgment? What are your thoughts on it?
Thank you. This is a very common question asked sometimes at the beginning of the talk or at the end of the talk. The answer is AI cannot replace a human physician. And the two major aspects are empathy and human connection. Now, Deepak, Amit, I got a question to both of you also. Suppose if I got a mobile with me with a chatbot and I tell my patient that I'm recording your interview on this and that will create a note out of it. The immediate answer will be, डॉक्टर साहब क्यों रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हो, किसको तो दे जाएगा, कुछ तो इंफॉर्मेशन हो जाएगी. Why don't you try your experience and your skills to make a note out of it. That is one aspect of it. I don't means I need answers from both of you that how you will encourage patients to use AI in your clinic. The second problem is AI should be viewed as a support tool. It cannot be a full tool. There is one very good Indian database. I will share you the link with that. That is called as the Chatham House. Is anybody aware of this Chatham House? I will share you the link. That is a good database for all other Indian data. And unless your human empathy and human connections are there, see, like making a direct eye contact. I'm not reading something down and talking to you. I'm talking to you directly. आंखों से आंखें मिलके. बराबर है. So that is lost when you are using AI things. My eye contact, very active listening. And there is one thing called the meaningful dialogue. What is the meaningful dialogue? That you encourage the patient to speak more and more about it. I don't want a history in Harrison style. I want to know how his giddiness is developing over last 24 hours. That will give me a clue within a second. That is the magic of meaningful dialogues, and the skills are not given in any books. You have to develop your own skills. There are some people who come to cry in front of me because I just listen to them. So even that active listening to make them cry is also a very, very good skill, and I don't think that any AI tool it has got is. And there is something called as the algorithmic non-empathy. The algorithm will not have empathy. Algorithm will speak only of words. I always take this as a practical example for drug trials. The drug trials and AI tools are similar. You don't know whether you are going to go into the placebo group or whether you want to go into the drug group, and what is going to be your post-marketing survivors. So the very brief question to answer to your thing that I will disclose the use of AI to my patient that I am using it, and this is during the encounter. I can show him as a scribe whatever this is, and I will use my full skills of empathy, looking at the patient's eye, giving him some very supporting comments so as to come out of this. कुछ नहीं हुआ, जाओ, तुमको कुछ तो तकलीफ नहीं होने वाला. Even though you know that the patient is in the terminal stage of malignancy, you can tell him that okay, you can go to enjoy your Durga Puja. Two of my patients went to Durga Puja to Kolkata, and they are almost happy. There is something called as psychoneuroimmunoendocrinology, PN, psychoneuroimmunoendocrinology, in which they is all integrated together. AI is there, it is a boost. It works it fast, analyzes data fast, you get the results and everything. But whatever is there in between the two pieces of the stethoscope, as far as the Indian physician is concerned, I think that is still a good thing. Last comment, last 1000 दिन में क्या हो गया सबने देखा है. But what is going to be in future for the next 1000 days or next 2-3 years, which is going to come? We are talking of agentic AI, you are talking of explainable AI, you are going to talk about robotics and all that. And the graph is going to be really, really very, very steep. It is going to be very steep. It is going to be very fast. Sometimes it is not possible to, cope up with the information which we get either on WhatsApp or on the emails. But still, I feel that taking the right tool for the right condition by the physician, giving time to the patient and explaining things in the right way is the answer, and physician is irreplaceable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Despite the many challenges, it's very clear that you're a major optimist when it comes to AI in medicine. Dr. Deepak, I had one question for you. We know that AI learns from the data that is reflected in our world, which means it also reflects our biases in a way. So how do we ensure that healthcare AI doesn't reinforce these health inequalities in the society?
Yes, see, the data, as I said, see, whenever you put the garbage into the model, the output will be garbage. So whenever you put a good quality data, so in medical terms, being a good AI enthusiastic doctor, you should put a good classification data. That is what the classification means. The ground should be very perfect. That doesn't mean that I always you put the model, you overload the model with 100% positive cases. That is how the classification. So as I told you, how you have to test, how you have to train first the model, then how you have to validate the model and how you have to test the model. So that is why the classification, to do the classification in any healthcare study, for example, when we are in the process of infant cry analysis, to be make you very simple with you, the ground truth should be very accurate. You cannot take a simple cry as a pathological cry. See, the bias will start from the beginning, then you are going to put the garbage into the model. Whatever amount of training you are doing, whatever amount of validation you are doing, whatever, it is going to be not worth. And of course, you are going to have hallucination in that model, and that model is never is going to be deployed. You got my point? The bias has to be start from the beginning only. So you cannot encourage putting a garbage into the model. That is very important. So diversification of the training of the data is very important. That is why I insist all young doctors who are enthusiastic in AI, you should be act like a scientist. You go in depth. You go in depth of LLM. You go to the open source models like Kaggle. You go to the open source models like Hugging Face. Explore the models. Explore the data sets. Even if you don't have data, try to get data as possible. Then you experiment with various free models which are there. Because any new model which comes, it will come into the Hugging Face. All those things you should know. See, what happens if I'm very new to this AI? A new model will come. Gemini has real new model. ChatGPT 5 has come. We are in a hype that it's like a superhuman. What we are thinking, it's a very superhuman. I'm going to believe whatever is going to give. The purpose of LLM is very simple. I'm telling you, it is always going to please you in a very good English. It's very good in English. It is very good in other knowledge. When it comes to the healthcare domain, no, they are very weak. For example, I'm giving a very real example. Last Ayush Puja or Vijayadashmi festival, one baby came to me, 4 years old baby, came in a drowsy. Parents came with a mobile smartphone. They showed our baby consumed some fruits which is available in Western Ghats. They went for some Kodajatri Hill. Baby got drowsy. So in Google, it has showing some wild cardamom. It is supposed to be very poison. My child is not going to survive. I saw that it was looking at some white cardamom only. So I went through the literature, which is very uncommon poisoning. I gave that photo, the very high definition photo, various models using API. See, I have got more than 50 answers, different answers. So whom I'm going to believe? So I am going to believe what I examined the baby. Baby was very playful. I gave a stomach wash. Little blood came because of trauma while I was inserting the tube. Otherwise, vitals were monitored. Baby had 2-3 times it puked. I gave antacids. I gave IV medication. Little bit electrolyte disturbances. After 24 to 48 hours, baby discharged. That parent was so much worried, annoyed after seeing this Google and other reports. My child is not going to survive. See, that is how, being a doctor, you should analyze whatever your experience comes. So this is a very simplified way of answering you, doctor. Thank you.
I mean, so I think that story not just answered that particular question, but also somehow summarized everything that we spoke about today. And that means this comes the perfect time because we're at the final leg of this panel discussion. And before concluding everything, I would just want to hand over the mic to Dr. Amit. So do you have any final thoughts? And also, would you like to say something about the summit that's coming up in Bangalore?
Yeah, of course. My final thought is actually going to be a follow-up to what Dr. Deepak said. Beyond every artificial intelligence that will exist, or super intelligence as we call it, I think it's going to be, I mean, mankind has always evolved and we will continue to evolve. And the human intelligence, with the human in the loop, in the right place, at the right point of time, is always going to score over any intelligence that comes in. One of the very important aspect of using AI responsibly is don't get carried away with artificial intelligence. Don't let it overtake your human intelligence. Don't let automation bias get into you, and do not get automated to that extent that you start having cognitive rigidity, that you stop thinking. That is one irresponsible way of using artificial intelligence. I will tell you that. So that's one important thought point that comes to the mind, that we must continue to cultivate our brain. We must continue to think, but at the same time, we must use this technology as an enabler to help us think smarter, but not literally make us stop thinking. That's one important message that I would like to pass on when we talk about responsible AI. And of course, a strong invitation to all our viewers and all our friends out there. Do join us in 15th and 16th of November in Bangalore, where all of us who you are seeing on the screen will be there. And all that we'll be talking about these 2 days is how we can use this technology responsibly. All that we have been speaking about the last 2 years is, do we need to use this technology? Should we use it? We are now above that phase. We all are going to be using it. We all have started using it in a very big way. Now, the question that we're going to be answering is how we can use it effectively, responsibly, so that it really makes a difference. And we are not just talking about it, but we are applying it in real world practice. It's going to bring a mix of all the subspecialties. It's going to bring in clinicians. It's going to bring in policymakers. It's going to bring in techpreneurs. It's going to bring in medical students. So you'll see everybody coming into the summit and understanding and trying to evolve with this technology together as a community. So we invite you all to be a part of the DoctorsAI Global Summit, which we believe is going to be India's first clinician-driven summit, which is being driven by the medical community, AI for good, as we call it, but in a responsible way with evidence-based medicine at the back end. Thank you so much. Thank you, Aishwarya. Thank you, Surya, for hosting this. Thank you, MedSynapse team and our charming Hetviya all the time for accepting our whatever things we put forward. To one last minute, we give her a thing that this is the thing, and she accepts it in a smiling way, although she's hiding in the back end. But she's a person that has always been supporting our initiative. We thank the MedSynapse team who has been supporting all our digital activities for the last 2 years in DoctorsAI community. And of course, once again, a big happy birthday to our 70th happy birthday to our patron and the dean of the Indian College of AI Medicine, and always to our charming Dr. Deepak for supporting us with his guidance and support.
Take a picture of you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you.
coincidentally, I just add 1 second.
Yes, please. Last comment
Coincidentally,
should be from you, ideally. Yes,
when
please.
I started walking, AI was labeled. It was 1956.
Yes.
I'm a toddler,
Yes.
and I always mention it in my slide that I have grown up with AI, with or without whatever the support is there. But in the last few years, I have been phenomenal. And Amit, we can have one program that what people expect as a future of AI within 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, something like that.
There is definitely a session on this in the summit as the agenda gets revealed.
Yes.
We'll request everyone to go to the website, check out, how the agenda is shaping up, and do join us. No matter where you belong, do join us if you can make it on 15th and 16th of November to Bangalore. This is going to be an event that is possibly going to change the way you look at medicine or think about medicine. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Aishwarya, closing comments and, whatever.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much to all the panelists who take their time out to talk with us, impart their knowledge. Forever grateful to host you. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Deepak sir, Dr. Kulkarni sir, Dr. Amit sir, and Surya. Thank you for being an amazing moderator. It couldn't have happened so flawlessly without you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.